It happened the night the sky split open, not with thunder, but with a scream. That's what the villagers of Aloan still whisper, even though 100 years have passed. The night began quiet, with the moon veiled by thin clouds and the river humming its usual lullaby. But everything changed at the stroke of the 13th bell, when the air itself twisted, like it was choking on some unseen force. A tear appeared in the heavens. Not a cloud, not lightning, a tear, wide, glowing, and bleeding shadows. From that rift came the Warden of Ashes, cloaked in soot, eyes like hollow stars. No one knew his name, only that his arrival marked the end of the old peace. He floated above the village square, silent. People froze in place, unable to breathe, as if time had forgotten them. Then he spoke, but not aloud. His voice crawled inside their minds. The seal is broken. The air must awaken. Aravell must burn again. Then as quickly as he came, he vanished. But what he left behind was worse. A child, a girl, no older than 10, lying unconscious beneath the shattered sky. Her skin was marked with runes that shimmered faintly, like embers trapped in ice. She was taken in by the village elder, Mira, who had once served the ancient Order of Flame, now forgotten and outlawed. Mira knew what no one else dared to admit. This girl wasn't just a child. She was the key to Aravell, the lost kingdom swallowed by fire and sealed from time centuries ago. A kingdom built on power, pride, and a terrible mistake. Mira named the child Lyra and raised her in secret, hiding her from the Church of Solarius, the order sworn to destroy any trace of Aravell's bloodline. But as Lyra grew, so did the fire inside her. On her 17th birthday, the runes lit again, brighter, fiercer, and a storm rolled in that didn't touch the ground, only the sky. The seal was weakening. The warden had returned. And Lyra? She wasn't running anymore. For days, the sky groaned with unease. A thin crack of light shimmered above Eloin, constant, silent, unnatural. The villagers refused to look at it. Some left offerings at their doors. Others fled. But Lyra stood beneath it. Her skin itched where the runes glowed. Not with pain, but with memory. They pulsed softly, as if something deep inside her was waking up. Mira watched with quiet sorrow. "You can't hold it back much longer," she said. "I'm not trying to," Lyra whispered. That night, Mira took Lyra into the old stone cellar, where ancient books and relics had gathered dust for generations. Beneath a loose tile, Mira revealed a small iron box, sealed with 3 locks and marked with a forgotten crest, a flame inside a spiral. "Before the world sealed Aravell away, your ancestors created a living fire," Mira said. "Not a weapon, a memory, a flame that remembers all it touches. The fire chose you. That's why the warden hunts you." Lyra hesitated. "Why would a flame choose me?" Mira looked at her, the lines on her face deeper now. "Because you're not just a girl, Lyra. You're the last Ashborn." The word hit like thunder. Ashborn, the royal bloodline of Aravell. The ones who forged the flame, then sealed it away after it nearly consumed the world. Their lineage was thought dead, hunted to extinction by the Church of Solarius. But Lyra's existence meant one survived. The box opened with a click. Inside was a small ember, floating in nothing. No fuel, no flame, just a glowing coal, alive. It pulsed the moment Lyra looked at it, and her runes answered back with light. Then it spoke, not with a voice, but with memory. Lyra fell into a vision. Fire dancing across silver towers, a great city in the sky, and a crown forged from phoenix feathers. She saw battles, betrayal, and a final stand against something too vast to name. And in the center of it all, herself, or someone who looked like her, standing in fire, arms raised, unafraid. She gasped awake, the ember now floating beside her. "You've been called," Mira said. "The flame remembers you. It's time to uncover what they tried to erase." But they were no longer alone. Outside, the bells of the church rang cold and sharp. The hunters were here. They came before dawn. Cloaked in sun-etched armor, The hunters of Solarius rode black-stamped horses and bore lances tipped with light steel, metal forged to pierce magic. Their faces were hidden behind golden masks, emotionless and cold. But they weren't looking for Mira. They were looking for Lyra. Mira had no time to explain. She pulled Lyra toward the east path, a forgotten trail that once led to the kingdom of Aravell, now swallowed by forests and time. "Take the ash road," Mira urged, thrusting a leather-bound satchel into her hands. "It leads to the old gate. The flame will guide you. I'll hold them as long as I can." Lyra shook her head. "I'm not leaving you. You're not just you anymore." Mira cupped her face. "You're Aravell's only chance." Lyra ran. Through the thinning woods, up the ridges of stone carved long ago by hands lost to history. Behind her, she heard the echo of light steel clashing, the roar of magic, and a final scream that shook the trees. Then, silence. She didn't look back. Phew! By nightfall, the woods gave way to ruins. Crumbled statues of winged beasts and flame-tipped towers peeked through the ivy. Lyra found a crumbling archway with the symbol from the box, a spiral flame. Her runes pulsed again. She stepped through. On the other side, the world changed. It wasn't just colder, it was older. The air shimmered with residual magic. Shadows stretched longer than they should. Trees stood taller, twisted, whispering in languages no one spoke anymore. This was Aravell's forgotten borderland, the Ash Road. According to legend, it was once a ceremonial path that connected the mortal world to the Flame Court, the heart of the kingdom. But now, the road was cracked, overgrown, and full of ghosts. Literally, as she walked, faint figures emerged from the mist. Soldiers in silver flame-etched armor, children playing with smoke illusions, a woman holding a sword with weeping eyes. They didn't see her. They were echoes, memories burned into the land by the very fire that made it sacred. Then the vision twisted. Among the ghosts, one turned to look directly at her. A boy, no older than her, with hair like burning cinders and eyes made of smoke. "You're late," he said. "The flame has already begun to forget." Lyra froze. "Who are you?" The boy smiled sadly. "I'm what's left of the first heir, and you're standing on the ashes of my failure." The boy led her without explanation, past the ruins, through a silent field of black roses that never died, along a river that shimmered with fire beneath its surface, flowing backward. He didn't speak again until they reached a hill of glass. Scorched earth melted smooth from a fire too hot for time to erase. "This is where Aravell died," he said. Lyra looked around. Nothing remained. No bones, no ruins, just the echo of fire and silence. "You said you were the first heir. What does that mean?" The boy turned to face her, smoke curling from his eyes. "My name was Kyle. I was chosen by the flame, trained to wield it. But I let fear decide for me. I tried to bind the flame instead of listening to it. It turned against us, burned everything." He looked up at the broken sky. "They sealed the kingdom to keep it from spreading. But the seal's breaking now, because you're alive. Because the flame has chosen again." Lyra's runes burned hotter. Kyle reached into the air and pulled down a crown, made entirely of smoke and ash, barely solid, flickering in and out of form. "This is the crown of smoke. It carries the memory of every heir before you, every mistake, every triumph. If you wear it, you'll remember everything. But there's a cost." "What kind of cost?" "You will become part of the flame. It will burn your past, your doubts, your fear, until only the story remains. And you must decide how it ends." Lyra hesitated. She thought of Mira, of the village, of the ember still glowing in her satchel. She thought of her dreams, always filled with fire. Slowly, she reached out. The moment her fingers touched the crown, she collapsed. Suits. She awoke in a void of stars. Memories flooded her mind. Not hers, but Aravell's. She saw rulers of peace, tyrants of war, the forging of the living flame in the heart of a dying star. She saw Kyle's rebellion, the panic, the seal. She saw Mira as a child, clutching the last scrolls of fire magic as the gates closed. She saw herself, not in the past, but in the future, standing at the flame court, surrounded by both enemies and believers, with a choice no one could make for her: to awaken Aravell, or destroy it forever. She gasped back into her body. Kale was gone. Only the crown remained. Lyra walked the ash road alone now. But she was no longer just a girl running from fate. The crown of smoke floated above her head, whispering forgotten names, old truths and fire-born promises. Her steps no longer echoed. They burned. The road parted for her like it remembered its queen. Ahead stood the flame court, once the heart of Aravell. It rose from obsidian rock, towers shaped like inverted candles, still flickering with an ancient light. The doors stood open, untouched by time, waiting. Inside, the throne burned, not with fire, but with memory. As she stepped into the grand hall, she wasn't alone. Shadows watched from high balconies, echoes of ancestors, spirits of old kings and queens. They bowed their heads as she passed, not out of fear, but reverence. At the far end, the living flame hovered, pulsing, ever shifting, neither alive nor dead. It held the soul of the kingdom. It was the kingdom. It spoke, not in words, but in thought, image, feeling. Lyra felt it. You are the final heir. You have seen what came before. Now choose, awaken us, or end us. She stepped forward. In her hand, the ember Mira had guarded. In her veins, the memories of 100 rulers. Behind her, a world that feared what Aravell once was. Lyra closed her eyes and reached into the fire. Visions returned, of Kyle falling, of Mira hiding scrolls, of the warden crossing the rift. But this time, she saw something new, a path forward, a world where the flame wasn't used as a weapon or sealed as a threat, but shared, taught and guarded, not by one ruler, but many, not as a kingdom, but as a covenant. She whispered, "No more kings, no more gods. Just guardians?" The flame pulsed, and in a wave of blinding light, it transformed. The towers outside shattered, then rebuilt themselves from ash and gold. The Warden of Ashes, watching from the sky, lowered his head and vanished like smoke in the wind. The crack in the heavens sealed. Lyra emerged as dawn broke, not wearing a crown, but holding the ember in her palm, now glowing like a small sun. She would return to the world not as a ruler, but as a storyteller, to teach, to warn, to remember. And so, the legend of Aravell was reborn, not in fire and fury, but in a girl who walked through flame and chose not to rule it, but to carry it forward.